Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Voice of BASAI by Krishi Jagra. This happens to be a special interview session going on with two of the leading persons involved in the Bio AG World Congress 2021, scheduled to be held on March 15th till 17th. We have today with ourselves Roger Tripathi, CEO and founder of GBall and PBI, and Pam Marrone, who happens to be the executive chair and partner and MD of Precision AgTech and Capital Raising GBall and PBI. So welcome, ladies and gentlemen, both of you, Pam and Roger. Welcome to the show.
Great to be here.
Yeah. So, Roger, if you don't mind, it's got to be ladies first. So, with her. Okay. So, welcome, Pam, to the show. And it's been quite some time since we've been wanting both of you to be there. I've already know about your designation and your, your involvement with GBall and PPI. Incidentally, you also happen to be the founder of Marrone Bio Innovations MBI in 2016. The
2006, yeah.
Yeah, 2006. And then you incidentally listed it in 2013. That's amazing feat.
I did. Yeah, NASDAQ, yeah.
First of all, I need to, congratulate you and wish you all the best that we have ladies like you in the field of science. Recently on February 11th, we just celebrated the International Day of Women and Girls in Science. And I happen to see that, you're still the treasurer of Association for Women in Science. And
I am.
Member of Foundation of Food and Agriculture Research. So, I mean, that's an amazing feat, I mean, really a pleasure having you on board GBall and PBI. I myself being slightly involved with it. So, yeah, that's it. And incidentally, you also happen to be the founding chair of Bioproducts Industry Alliance. So
I did. I founded it was called the Biopesticide Industry Alliance back in 2000. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I sent a letter to all the different companies frustrated with the adoption of biologicals and how slow it was taking to get them registered. And we all joined up and formed it in 2000. Yeah, many years ago now.
Yeah. So, I mean, looking into this year's theme that was Beyond the Borders, Science for Society, Social Aspects and Culture Dimensions in Science, Technology and Innovation to Enhance Sustainable Development. That's another thing which, really made me interested in wanting to have you on the show. So welcome on board. I'll shift further to Roger now. Roger, I'd love to know that what made you form GBall and PBI, and what really inspired you to initiate this BioAg World Congress. I believe it's now some couple of years since you've started it. So if you could just briefly let us in on that part.
Exactly. So as you know, Vipin, from my background, I'm originally Indian. I hope you can see that flag behind me, the Indian flag. And that's always behind me. And on top of that, you see I'm Australian and American, but Indian flag is always there. So being a global citizen, when I've worked in so many companies globally, I realized very quickly that there is a huge gap in the market. And that gap came from basically where these businesses reach a certain level, and then they are not able to optimize their performance. And that's why we started with global bioag linkages. Global bioag linkages mostly is for service orientation. That means if someone is looking for go-to-market help, or they are looking for M&A or capital raising, or they want regulatory help, what we do is we link needy to the one who can provide the services, including us. So that's why we call it global bioag linkages. And bioag, because our focus is on sustainable agriculture, we are not against chemicals. We think integrated crop management is very important, but we have to start increasing the bioproducts contribution to the integrated crop management. So that was the second goal for global bioag linkages. Coming from managing businesses with products all my life, after a year or so, I realized that I also need to get involved with some innovation. And that came about not by accident, because a lot of the companies we were helping, they were asking that going to market is not easy, it's not cheap. And how do we scale up to different countries? Then we thought, why not? Because you know, Vipin, you are part of GBOL, and you have such a long history that with our global network of the local experts in the countries, we can form a commercialization platform much easier than a lot of companies and much more cost effective. And that's how the PBI came into the form, because we have access to the best innovation. Formulations are done for us, specific, tailor-made. And with those formulations, using our commercial network globally, we can make a difference and take different technology platform under one platform to the global market. So that's how PBI came into the play. BioAg World Congress was born just by recommendation from industry friends that there are a lot of events happening, and these events take place by either the event company who are just trying to make money out of this, and they have no focus on the real industry good, or the industry associations, which are doing a good job. So we wanted to create an event by the industry for the industry. And that's how BioAg World Congress came into the fore. And when we started it, we also realized that there are biostimulant conferences, there are biocontrol conferences, but there's not one conference which covers all 3-4 aspects of bioagriculture. So this is very unique conference in 2 aspects. One, we cover all the segments of bioagriculture. On top of that, what we also do, we try to combine food safety and food security aspect and balance it, because one cannot live without the other. You cannot just focus on food safety and forget about all the people we have to feed. And vice versa, you can't keep feeding people with unsafe food, right? So that's why our goal was to create an event which comes from not event organizers, but from the industry people like us, Pam and I, and you, who have been in this industry as a major player, stakeholders, right? So that's why BioAg World Congress is a very different event than a lot of events taking place at the moment in the industry.
Yeah, fair enough. Thanks, Raja. And when you say that I've got a long history, you make me sound old. Not that old, everybody can see about it. So yeah, so over to you, Pam. As a founder of a company and having established or heading an association earlier in your days, what do you foresee the growth of biologicals globally nowadays? What's the scenario? Especially this year, if you see this year, last year, unfortunately, we couldn't do any much traveling or any events or any kind of one-to-one promotions, being the International Year of Plant Health. But this year, now we've got the International Year of Fruits and Vegetables. And I personally believe that biologicals have a greater role to play. So what's your take on, the global impact of biologicals? Are they going to really encash on this year, or still we're going to see some slow moment as a post-pandemic, scenario?
Yeah. So I'm thinking that business goes on. Growers still have to grow crops, and at least here in the United States, they still were using inputs. Obviously, the supply chains were perturbed, but local, regional, and organic food systems thrived very well during the pandemic. Yeah, there will be some lingering after effects of the disruption, but biologicals continue to grow at double digits. We're seeing a tremendous number of new startup companies with new innovations. I'm seeing a distribution channel more interested in biologicals to differentiate themselves. I'm seeing big companies do deals like Syngenta buying Valagro. So it's going to be a very dynamic time on all fronts in the biological world. The products really are going mainstream as farmers learn how to integrate them into their programs.
One thing, Vipin, I just want to add, I think you must have heard about this. The International Year of Plant Health has been extended till June, by the way, because of COVID. So now it's going till June. So we should still keep pushing and supporting In fact, USDA, they are supporting BioAg World Congress. There are two speakers from there, and they talked to me just last week, and they want all our support as well for their efforts. So I just want to share that with you. With regards to fruits and vegetables also, it's very important that people understand that is one of the things where it's directly consumed, right? So there is not too much of processing. Safer inputs are much more important. So I just want to add to what Pam was saying.
Yeah.
That's why you see more adoption.
Yeah, and residues, reduction of residues for export markets and resistance management as well.
Yeah, exactly.
So Pam, continuing with you at the moment in the globalization of biologicals, two questions come into my mind. One is that there's a growing need and urge by various countries to regularize or place in a regulatory reforms for biostimulants. Some are wanting to have it under the fertilizers acts of their own countries, or some under the pesticide one. So what do you think? What's your take on this one? And two, there are concerns, growing concerns on import of biologicals, especially in India. The main strain has to come across, and then the government is, encouraging people to formulate the same thing over here, because they say that when you've got too much of your own natural resources, why do you want to import a formulation? So these two questions, if you'd be kind enough to just elaborate upon.
Yes, you're right that there's a lot of changes and discussion about how biostimulants are going to be regulated going forward. European Union has come up with a framework, but given their speed, which is usually quite slow, we're not expecting to see that new framework implemented at least for 5 years. The US, we had a nice framework and definition going on with the USDA, and then EPA jumped in to further clarify what they wanted to do with biostimulants. So the industry, the Bioproducts Industry Alliance, and the Biostimulant Coalition that goes along with it, are working with both agencies to try to find ways to harmonize and get one regulatory framework. In the meantime, in the US, it's still state by state and done as biofertilizer. But the EPA has given guidance that very clear guidance on what you can and cannot claim. Otherwise, you have to get it regulated as a plant growth regulator in the US. So that's clearer now. And then the second part of your question was what? Again, remind me.
It was regarding import of biologicals. There's restrictions going on by countries in the name of that they have their own natural resources. So why do you need to import an invasive kind of microbial or other things? That's
well, because of the time it takes to do and cost to do all the toxicology studies, all the development, fermentation, process development, formulation. When you can't just do a biological in every country because there's local resources there. A company, a biopesticide company or a startup company is going to put millions of dollars behind a product and then want to get back some of that cost of development by exporting to other countries. And it's just not feasible time-wise or resource-wise to then develop a product from local strains in every country. That's very, very expensive and really makes it impractical to have any biologicals being developed.
Yeah, the concern of microbials over here in India is that you'll be allowed to import the actual strain, the concentrate, and then once it is found safe, then you may be allowed to formulate it over here. So yeah, that's point well taken. So Roger, over to you. Could you give us a little brief on the Asia Pacific scenario, since you're much versed with that kind of region? Over to you.
Whatever is the best for the farmers, that's what we should focus on. If the farmers can meet their needs tomorrow instead of after 3 years, we should look for that first. I'm not saying that we should not prepare ourselves in next 3 years. So that's what is very important for any developing country. Why to reinvent the wheel and increase the cost when you have something already available, right? So that's what I always suggest to people. That second thing, what I always say, that Asia Pacific, India and China for sure, there's so much good innovation coming. What we have to work on is our reputation that whatever comes out of Asia Pacific is of good quality, consistent, and we have good ethical business values. Those things will improve a lot. And I think what we have seen in last 7-8 years, that has happened a lot. I mean, you know that, and this is not a political statement, but I think India's image and Asian product image has improved a lot, but we have to work on this much more. So if you talk to me about Asia Pacific, I can say that being an Asian originally, that is what we have to work on. Coming back to some of the things where Asia Pacific has a lead, should also be captured by the Western world. For example, plant extracts, neem product. I really feel that those should be taken up by the Western or the developed world where the agriculture is really advanced. There are a lot of good microbial companies. At the same time, there is some plant extract companies. All of those are very important for safer food and for the integrated crop management. So in my opinion, we should try to find our strengths in the Asia Pacific and our gaps. For our strength, we should take them to the global. For the gaps, we should take it from the global. So that's my message to this.
Yeah, that's fair enough. So how do you see the market growing over here? Has it got something to do with the most of the Asia Pacific countries wherein they follow that if the bioefficacy of a product is, I mean, they accept bioefficacy from the similar agroclimatic zones, whereas countries like India do not respect that kind of guidance from the FAO. So does that have got something to do with Asia Pacific, other countries apart from India being more adaptive or towards attaining imported products? Obviously, Pam has stated that why to increase the the involvement of getting a new strain developed and registered in another country. So has that got something to do with?
I think so too. And I don't think we have the regulatory framework in place to be able to manage that process. So again, it's one of those things, like I always say in my other discussions with people, what I like the most at the moment is the Make in India policy. And in Make in India policy, there are a lot of things we are putting in place where, this is for Pam's information as well. Now, India is making their own fighter planes. They are making their own arms and everything, and trying to make India being self-sufficient. And I'm just picking on India because this interview is for the Indian audience. That is a fantastic initiative. But simultaneously, we have to create a regulatory framework to support that. And that's what we are missing.
So let's now turn our conversation towards the actual event, BioAG World Congress. So Pam, over to you. What can we expect from this event? I mean, what's going to be new over here with you on board? I mean, are we going to stress more on innovation and regulations, or how do you foresee this event? What's so special about it this year?
We have quite a lineup of really top-notch speakers. And I think it's for the first time that at a BioAg conference, we're really talking about the entire food chain. So what does it take to have farmers adopt BioAg technology? What are the barriers from the farmer's perspective? What does it take from the food channel's perspective? We've got a speaker from Kellogg's. What does it take, if the EPA is going to quickly regulate products in the US, and we have a good system in the US, what does the EPA see as barriers to getting those products that they regulated, out? So a lot of it is focused on how we're going to increase adoption, and both from pull from the food channel with drivers like consumer preferences and sustainability, and then what it takes at the farmer level.
And Roger, what do you think? Well,
as you must have seen our agenda, Vipin, and I think that will be great that when you do this interview live, I think this will be good to share the link of that website so people can go and visit the agenda. Earlier, the agenda was in 8 sessions when we were going to be in person. However, we had to concise it for 6 sessions because of the time differences.
Yes.
Because we don't want to miss anyone. So that's why we are starting at 6:30 a.m. in Pacific time. So we can also capture our Indian folks so everyone can attend. I know India works very hard till late. So I'm pretty sure that they can still capture most of the conference. So in 6 sessions, what we are trying to do is cover different aspects. So one of them is about not being standalone. That means precision ag, bioag, all of that goes together. One of the other sessions, we are focusing mainly on soil health because we feel that soil health is like mother of everything, right? Our soil is depleting everywhere. Let me share with you, when I left India 30 years ago, I thought soils are only depleting in India and Asia. But the truth is, now I realize soils are depleting everywhere, including Europe and everywhere. So soil health is a big issue. So we have 2-hour session headed by Giuseppe Natale, who is the Valagro CEO. He has created a fantastic group of people and the panel. Same thing we are doing with Pam's panel and the group where we are talking about the investors, what they should look for. It should not be just about, oh, there's an innovation coming, let's spend $20 million here. But then once they spend $20 million or invest, then they are looking that in 5 years, they will get the return. That doesn't happen, right? So that's what we are discussing, the real problems, what's going on in the industry. For example, another session is totally talking about regulatory, where you are also representing BASAI. So we are going to talk about the regulatory situation for biostimulants, biopesticides separately. Then we are bringing a panel together where we have regional representation. You know, the BPG president, Nicholas, is going to talk about the global biopesticide regulation. Then Marco Rosso is going to talk about the global biostimulant regulation overview. And then we will have the panel with the regional challenges and opportunities of streamlining, where you are also part of it. So I can go on and on. The agenda is so powerful, thanks to Pam and the team. Most of the speakers you will see there, they have gotten their hands dirty by creating real success in their fields. And they have created either businesses or successful examples. So that's why we are so excited about it.
Yeah, that's nice. Even in fact, India is working on harmonization of toxicological protocols, and the draft just out, and hopefully have it finalized soon. Pam, I can't resist asking you. Yeah, I read that Marrone Bio Innovations is having in its pipeline bioherbicides and biofumigants.
Yes.
Herbicides, as you know, are very few registered worldwide. There are probably some constraints on it. So could you just elaborate? Because this is quite something very exciting of having bioherbicides and biofumigants in fact. So could you just elaborate a little bit on that kind of?
Yeah, the reason why there's just not a lot of those products out on the market is because it's very technically challenging. So yes, although I left Marrone Bio last August, they're still working on both a bioherbicide, multiple bioherbicides, and biofumigant. The biofumigant's very exciting. The data looks fantastic. It's a fungus that produces gases, and you put it in the soil and it fumigates around it. The data is fantastic on many soil diseases and nematodes. And then the herbicide that the company's working on is actually a systemic herbicide that kills the worst weed in the pigweed family, the amaranthus, like Palmer amaranth and water hemp. And the data, field data last year looked very good as well. So yeah, stay tuned. It's slow going because they're technically challenging, but they're getting there.
Okay, it's nice to know that your biofumigant is actually for nematodes controlling, because India now we've got protective cultivation going on in a big way, or what you may call as a greenhouse. But nematodes are a big issue, and probably every 3 years farmers had to change the soil of that protective area. But nowadays they do something what is called as solarization, where they flood the whole protective unit and then allow it to just simply burn with the massive heat during that time of the summers. So yeah, that's something very exciting. Roger, over to you. Will the presentation, since it's a virtual event, can we expect that people who may not be able to join, that obviously the presentations and everything will be available online later on also for people to just, because it's such a heavy agenda and it's an exciting one, so relevant. So can we expect it also to be available offline later on?
Exactly. So let me share with you some of the differentiation we have created in our event. First of all, what we did, we attended few virtual events before our event, and we looked at what is working and what is not working. We are trying to remove all those things which were not working there, and trying to take advantage of that learning, right? So a lot of things we are doing. Number one, our expo hall is going to be as good as being in person. It's 3D, and you can talk to people on video. All the company representatives will be there on their booths. And the beauty is, when you are in the 3-day event, you meet people for 3 days, but we are keeping this interactive for the whole month. So you can still reach out to all the people. So your networking can go on for 1 month. That's a huge advantage. No one has tried that before. And same thing we are doing with our presentations. They will be available for a month for people to watch live, kind of on video recording, as well as they will find the presentations to be downloadable as well. So yes, absolutely. And I will really think that Indian businesses, that Indian bioag industry is very strong. Companies like Biostat, companies like CanBioSys, AgriLife, IPL, you name the few. I mean, they're the top companies there, and they have made great inroads in and supporting the bioag industry tremendously. I mean, all the BASAI members, they are all doing fantastic jobs. So hopefully they will all be able to join and take advantage of this. Let me also add, people who were looking forward to coming to Sacramento, we will still have our conference in Sacramento in 2022, end of April or early May. So please keep your bags ready. We will see you there in person as well. But in the meantime, get the taste of the virtual, because you will not miss a single minute of knowledge share and networking, even though it's virtual.
Thank you, Roger. Thanks. And thank you both, Pam and Roger, for joining in. I believe viewers, not only in India, but across the global, viewing this program will also benefit from it and come across the whole thing.
I can add a couple of sponsors who are also sponsoring from India this event. I want to thank them, and hopefully more will join soon. GeoLife and AgriLife, they are both our sponsors in the event. And I really thank for their support and what they are doing for the global market. And thank you so much for your media partnership, as well as for BASAI. But
that's just kidding.
It's really fantastic, and we should continue this for the long term, this partnership.
Definitely.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Pam and Roger. Thank you for joining in, and we wish and we will be supportive and look forward towards the success of this event. Thank you very much, both of you. Ladies and gentlemen, this was Vipin, Saini in conversation with Roger Tripathi and Pam Marrone with a curtain raiser on BioAg World Congress 2021. This is Vipin, Saini signing off. Thank you very much. Look forward. God bless. Stay safe. Stay healthy.
Bye.
Bye.